Yo, what's going on? Hope you're well wherever you are, whatever the time, and welcome back to another YouTube video. And as you can see in today's, it's not quite today's video, but the footage that you're seeing it includes a special guest, which is my client and friend, Martin, and we're just running through a push day. This push session was done a week ago now. Exactly 9 days ago, actually. 10 days ago. And we ran through the session. It's the first time that we've trained together, in a while. And I just wanted to show you the session and talk about a couple of things, give you guys a bit of an update, all that good stuff. And also give you a little bit of an update with Martin's process, his physique and whatnot, because he's prepping right now. So it's obviously an exciting time for him. He's still very early on into the prep, but nonetheless, it's exciting. It's exciting. It's his first time getting coached through a prep. So yeah, let's get right into it. First exercise we done was a pec fly. I really like this Life Fitness pec fly. It's a little bit different to the one that you'll see on my left. I just prefer the handles. I prefer the setup. This one just feels great. We done a couple of sets on this one. By the way, we done Martin's session today because I'm more than happy to always make adjustments with chest and shoulders. They're strong body parts of mine, so I'm more than happy to just switch out movements. Here we go. Look, here's Martin. So he's currently over 20 weeks out at the minute. I believe it's over 20 weeks out. We may potentially do some earlier shows if we're ready, but our priority at the minute is focusing on shows, or a show on the 7th of September, and then the finals for that show in October. So there's still plenty of time, just chipping away, nice and easy. You just got to make sure he's in a deficit and just losing at around about 1% of his body weight per week. Nice and easy. So that's about a kilo for him per week. Pretty simple. So yeah, anyway, pec fly to start off with for him, which was great. Form was good. 2 sets, nice and easy. The main thing for Martin that we found that he needs to improve on is just being a little bit more explosive on that concentric. I think it's very common for people these days. I say people these days, a lot of trainers to kind of move in a little bit of like slow motion on that concentric, and we don't really want to do that. We want to make sure that we're explosive, and then we're just controlling that eccentric, because you could be leaving some strength and some gains on the table by doing that. Once we done our pec fly, we then went on to a flat bench with dumbbells. Now, I wasn't too pleased with this. You'll see here this is a Smith machine, but we done dumbbells before this. I just didn't film it. I wasn't too pleased with my set. I was having some issues with my back. I'll get into that a little bit later, but I was having some issues with my back. I couldn't really do a set that I wanted to do. Martin done his sets, which were great. Then once we done the flat bench dumbbell, we then planned to do incline hammer strength. We couldn't get on it, so we went on to flat Smith. I wanted just to do some sort of barbell movement, so that's what we done. Big tip here, by the way, when you set up for a press on the Smith machine, make sure as you press up, if you have a Smith machine that's angled, make sure as you press upwards, the bar is traveling backwards. It's more of a natural motion, and it's going to be a lot better on your shoulders. If you're doing it the other way, it could have a pretty negative impact on your shoulders. It won't feel as natural. Okay, so make sure you're setting up your Smith machine that way. I know it's all well and good that you want to face yourself in the mirror and whatnot, but make sure that you're kind of aligned to a more natural path. Anyway, we done 2 sets on here. Last set was a rest pause. So essentially what we done is 12 to 15 reps, rested for 20 seconds, and then without changing the weight, we repeated another set. So pretty brutal, just a little bit of an intensifier on this one, and would opt to do an intensifier on this one just because it's really safe, really safe. With something like dumbbells, it can be a little bit tougher, because then you've got to set the dumbbells up again and get into position, and you've got to kind of fling the weight back and whatnot. Whereas with a Smith machine, you're just locked in. You can really take it to a place where you can't get another rep. And to be honest with you, you could do this without a spot, because if the bar starts coming down, you just got to flick your wrist. So yeah, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I had a pretty poor performance on flat dumbbell press because of my back. Now, I picked up a little bit of a niggle in my back from something. I don't actually think it was deadlifts, because as you know, I've been doing deadlifts. But my lower back was sore, Anyway, it was hurting in this session, but nothing really escalated because we were just doing chest, right? Yeah. And then that same week, I went to go do deadlifts. And you know, when your body is just telling you, look, Elliot, today is not the day for you to try any PRs or max out, or it's just not the day. Just call it a day. Do every other movement other than deadlifts, because you're not recovered. Your back is not in a good spot. But me being too stubborn and almost having that voice in your head where it's like, these are moments where you have to prove yourself, and this is where you build muscle, and it's almost just stupid. But anyway, done that, and back did not feel good at all. There was like a moment where it was just a sharp pain at the top. I do believe it was a bulging disc. That took me out the next week from really any proper training, kind of the following week, which is really annoying. At the minute, I'm currently doing a devolume, so I'm back in the gym, but I'm just taking things a little bit easier. I think I should be good by the end of this week, but I really need to just make smart decisions when it comes to training and understanding the difference between you just being a wimp and actually being smart with your training and picking your moments. Because when you're really experienced, I should know by now when I should be able to do that. I should be able to differentiate between the two, but I didn't in that moment and got punished for it, you know. So managing it, you just make sure that you don't do anything that hurts. When it comes to managing injuries, pretty simple. Get yourself to see a specialist if you can, but most of the time it just needs time. It just needs time, and just not aggravate, just leaving it alone, not aggravating it. So anyway, moving on to triceps for the last bits. We also done another press in there. We actually finally got on the hammer strength incline, done some triceps at the end. We done an overhead movement, and we done a push down. I am not very strong at overhead movements. Martin's very strong at overhead movements, and I think that shows in our physiques. My triceps are okay, but they could be rounder, and I think that's due to just a lack of development in certain parts of my tricep, and I think that comes from being pretty poor at overhead movements. Because here Martin giving me some tips on how to get a little bit stronger on the overhead movement. But yeah, and again, like, it's just about leaning into those weaker movements. Lean into them. Don't avoid them. If you want to make sure that you're improving certain body parts, lean into those movements that you're not so great at, which is what I'm doing. The next day after this session, my triceps were burning. They were on fire. And I can see why. So yeah, other than that, as I said, I'm carrying a little bit of a lower back injury, but it is improving. It's been improving across the week, which is awesome. I'm still trying to gain muscle. I'm still in the gaining phase. I've seen a lot of people start their diets who actually I competed with and who I'd seen finish their season in November last year, which to me is insane. You should not be needing to diet now when you finished your shows in November. It just means you got too fat too quickly. And I wrote an email about this with the Team Power page, and yeah, it just doesn't make sense. You just gain body fat too quickly, and realistically, how productive was that phase? Because after prep, you're going to spend a couple of months just getting back to normal baseline levels of hormones, so that you're not really going to be building muscle there. And then 3 months later, you need to diet. Like, it's just unproductive. If an issue for you on stage was condition, doing this over and over again when you're not controlling your rate of gain is only going to lead you to the same problem. So that needs to be addressed. You should not be dieting if you finish your season in November. Anyway, really appreciate you watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you for the next one.